You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the twilight zone.
Did you read in the news last week that the city of San Francisco is considering banning circumcision for
Yeah, and again, you know, but that's a personal choice. And I talk to my patients as an obstetrician. I talk to my patients a lot about this. And really, there's a lot of health benefits and some risk benefits, but it's really a social procedure. So you really have to decide, do you want your son to look like you? Do you, is it a cultural thing? Is it a social thing? It's absolutely, and there's some health benefits, more for the lady than the man, but as far as decreasing STDs and passing on to, other women, and HPV, which can cause cervical cancer, so decreasing STDs and cancer. All that good stuff.
But couldn't you achieve the same effect by washing your pee-pee on a regular basis?
You absolutely could. And
So we're talking, you can have this chopped off or you can wash it. Your call.
Exactly.
It's a tough choice there, Doctor. I don't know.
We actually have a question. It's from Facebook. It's about penile circumcision. Sam from Dallas writes, I was circumcised as a child, and I want to be uncircumcised again. I recently heard there are products using weights that can help put it back to being uncircumcised. Is this true? Ouch. Ouch. Weights?
Sam's important question is actually, there's actually some contraptions out there that will help reverse a circumcision.
Now, my question is, why? Because once you're circumcised, if the idea is to bring back more sensitivity, which is why some people will say, don't circumcise, that's already done. So you're not going to bring back any extra sensitivity by trying to just lengthen the skin.
Some people who advocate reversal do it because they think there's more sensitivity with foreskin that has been stretched.
But the foreskin's gone. So you're stretching out regular penile skin. The foreskin's
you're only going to get
right?
so much.
Correct.
What about...
but
you're never going to get the whole thing back.
So the concept is you do protect the glands of the penis.
That's what I'm wondering.
And so it's not likely to get scratched or abrasions from wearing clothing, and maybe kept at a moisture that's ideal for intercourse. But the studies have been a little bit conflicting. There's been some studies that have shown that the prepuce actually, or the foreskin, has some sensory fibers there that make it more sensitive, while there's other studies that have not really shown that. This is a model of the glands. We basically stretch whatever skin we have over this contraption and then bring this other part into it and keep it in place. So you're basically keeping it taut against the glands. And so this is actually the basic model. This strap basically goes down to a contraption that's worn on the knee, and it gives it a nice little tug. So during the day, while you're sitting at your desk or going about your day-to-day business, this is actually keeping it taut.
While Dr. Joseph is showing us this, as a woman, if you saw this contraption,
I would wonder.
date's over, right?
Time out. What are you doing?
Now, this contraption is not FDA approved.
No,
but
it's
I
not, so
find
we
it
can't
interesting
endorse it.
because, men who are circumcised, I don't personally know anyone walking around I'm sure they're out there, and I think this is, I guess what you're saying is an option, but not FDA approved.
Correct.
Can we agree, that in general, surgery on a man's penis is fraught with complications, no matter what you're trying to do? Yeah. It's not something you should ever go into lightly. Everything I've ever seen.
Never do
or
it
heard.
at home. I have my own share of stories from going online on the internet and reading stuff about how to do certain things at home. And my favorite was a very educated guy that was at a university, and he was an engineer. He decided to circumcise himself at home.
I tell you, I get more requests for circumcision.
You know those instruction sets that it says, please read fully before you execute? Well, he actually decided to just go step by step without reading ahead. And it became part of reconstructing the skin back, and he realized he didn't have the right suture for it.
I'm still trying to figure out what I would do in the emergency department when someone walks in. They're like, Okay, I cut my foreskin off. Now what?
Well, and also,
Dr. Josephson, get down here. Stat.
and that's one of the things that then comes up of when, if you didn't do it as an infant, when would you do the circumcision?
Doing it as an adult is a lot harder,
Yeah.
associated with complications, more painful than it is doing it as an infant.
And that's kind of one of the arguments why to do it as a newborn, because it recovers so much faster. But
No
there's
right
the
or
whole
wrong
consent
answers.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
in the end a personal choice.
You have to be
when it
educated
comes
about
to
the
parents
benefits and the
individual.
disadvantages, just like everything else.
Sometimes people take things a bit too far, like a story I heard over this summer. And this is a woman in Oregon who circumcised her own baby at home and botched it up.
Yeah,
Because my understanding is she read about it, got moved, and felt like, you know what, I can do this.
Holy cow.
She did this at home?
She did this at home.
And it wound up
Luckily,
It started bleeding, and she had to go to the hospital.
Gee, what could go wrong? You're circumcising your own baby
This
at
is
home?
surgery.
It's
a surgery. I was reading, and she apparently, the baby was 3 months old, and she, for some reason, thought the baby was too old to be done by the doctor. That's what the mom said. Now, I understand why she said that, because after about 2 months of age, the type of procedure changes. It goes from a very simple procedure that a pediatrician can do in his office to something more complicated that a urologist should do in his office with stitches and
So it
everything.
was so complicated, she thought she should do it at home with a steak knife?
Yeah, right, exactly. So all she heard was the first part. You know, pediatrician can't do it in his office anymore.
Well,
She didn't hear the second part.
I have some feelings
Okay.
she probably heard monetary things, because when it's done in the hospital, it's actually covered by insurance.
Right.
Once you've taken the baby home, it's not covered anymore. It's considered a cosmetic procedure,
surgery,
and then you
exactly.
actually pay for it. So she may have been trying to get out of money.
This woman, we're clear. She's off her rocker.
I think so.
Well, I would certainly say that her problem-solving skills lack something.
Yeah, right.
And if you want to if you want to take Dr. Lisa's point, if you're trying to save money and do a procedure at home, don't. Because in this circumstance, this child ended up going into the hospital, had to presumably be admitted. The charges then go through the roof.
Yeah.
Just get it done the right way.
Oh, wow, this is a whole can of worms,
only
man.
in San Francisco. I mean, what next? Is it going to be illegal to have a tonsillectomy or
my
illegal
God.
to have your wisdom teeth removed?
Well, you know, people feel very strongly about it, but I think that the thing is that it's still a choice. It's a personal choice. We have pros and cons on both sides, and there's nothing to show that there's anything horrendous on any side to make a ban on it. I think a lot of people get up and roar because they think we do it without, like, anesthesia.
Right,
That's been going on
that's one
thousands
thing.
of
We
years.
always do
That's
it
the
with
thing. This
anesthesia.
article from this piece showed in this article, someone was quoted saying most circumcisions are done without anesthesia. That's not true at all.
absolutely not
I
true
have
at
never
all.
seen a circumcision done without anesthesia.
I'm sure it hurt, but I don't remember.
Well, you couldn't walk for a year. Right? Of course it hurt.
Good point. Good point.
But, I mean, I think what's probably behind this, I know a lot of people feel, and I actually feel this way, I think it's not the best decision. I wish the person getting circumcised could make the decision for themselves.
Well, except for
that's-
that it's
I know it's
better
easier
to
to do
it
as your
when
baby,
you're
but
not going to remember.
right,
because
but
I
I
can't
still
tell you how
think
many men go, well, you do circumcisions. Can you do my circumcision?
right, and
You know?
they're driving with their driving.
Yeah, they're
right,
like,
no,
oh.
but I still think it's a procedure. It's like if a parent decided, hey, I'm going to pierce your ears and pierce your nose and while you're a baby, so you don't have to do it.
Well,
because I think it's going to be in vogue later on. I think it's best if the guy wants to be circumcised, let him decide when he's old enough to get to decide.
But to call circumcision cosmetic, just cosmetic, that's
Well,
not right.
most of the people in this country do it because it's cosmetic.
But
I know
let's
there's some
play devil's
there's some
advocate.
medical
There's
reasons to
health
do it.
reasons to do
There's
it.
also medical reasons not to do it.
Right, but
You
let's
know?
just say your parents, when you come out of the womb, they, for health reasons, for religious reasons, for whatever their
Or
reasons
maybe
may
even a
be,
medical reason,
they decide
sometimes.
to or to not circumcise. Do you think, you're basically saying that a parent should not be allowed to decide? Because again,
That's what that ban is saying. and
Well,
I
think
that's
right.
kind of what that ban is saying,
yeah.
and
This
it's a
is-
can of worms.
you're making decisions for your child
Well,
about their medical future until they're the age of 18 or they're an emancipated minor. Either way, as a parent, you would always hope that you make the best decision when it comes to your child. But that's what you do. You do that from when they're born until like I said, they're of age to make their own choices. And so, how is it different here?
Well, for me, I don't think that the foreskin is a birth defect. I think if you want to keep it, well, that's why. But a lot of people, I think they feel that way. They feel. No, I've had a lot of parents say, I need to get that foreskin off because it looks funny.
Well, there's also that, but then there also is the health aspects behind it. We know they can decrease penile cancer. We know they can decrease the risk of STDs.
More babies die getting circumcised than men die from penile cancer.
Well, but also HIV and AIDS. We know that actually there's a lot of places in Africa that are instituting it because it actually decreases the risk of HIV and AIDS.
I agree with that, but it's not 100%. It's not. If you're going to use that logic, you might as well just sew a condom on the penis when they get born.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You name one baby to me, and I'm not pro or con when it comes to circumcision, but I know a lot of guys who've been circumcised when they were babies, and not one of them has ever said, wow, that was rough. In other words, you know, there are a lot of guys who are circumcised who are like, thank God that I was just taken care of back then because I'm glad it was done. And it's not a procedure that I think, you know, a 14-year-old or an 18-year-old is going to walk in and be like, all right, I just turned 18. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
They want to put a ban on it. It's not a ban on circumcision. You can't even compare it to female circumcision or female genital mutilation or female cutting, what they want to say, because that obviously has severe medical and health consequences to the woman, even though there are religious, reasons, or actually it's not religious, but social reasons that people have done it in other countries. So you can't even, compare apples and oranges.
But I'm curious, though. I'm just curious, though. I know we consider female circumcision as mutilation, but I mean, does it change the function? Does it change?
Yes, it actually changes
birth?
the function.
Yes,
it actually changes
I'm just curious.
the function.
I'm just actually curious what they do. Do they remove the clitoris?
Yes, they actually remove the clitoris, but they also close up the vagina as well, which can cause severe dysmenorrhea.
So that has to do with childbearing later on.
It can cause death because people aren't.
You're removing erectile tissue, and that's different. I mean, a foreskin is
well, you're removing a lot of nervous tissue too with the foreskin too. I mean.
Yes, but the studies have actually shown that most men who undergo circumcision do not have any sort of nerve damage at all.
Dr. Orden, we're going to continue talking about the male penis here, but in a much different way.
Right, and the topic is circumcision. And a little controversial, and we talk about it on the show quite a bit.
Absolutely.
You know, as a pediatrician, you deal with that with parents all the time. Should we circumcise or not? There's reasons to circumcise, reasons not to circumcise. But for some men who got circumcised, parents made the decision for them, they're now rethinking it, and they want that foreskin back. Well, for those of you out there, let me tell you, it's a lot easier to remove it than put it back.
Right.
I can't even imagine the complexities of that procedure.
Well, there's a few ways to do it. I've heard a lot of men that want to try to regain the foreskin, just try to basically get it stretched out.
That's the simple way, just like men do
really
put that on.
I'm with you.
What, don't you?
The simple way, just stretch it out.
Do you all prefer your men to be circumcised or uncircumcised? I mean, my goodness.
No, but here's the thing.
If you prefer them uncircumcised. How do you know?
How do you know? That's the thing.
Wait. Now we gotta go way back. We gotta go back to elementary school.
That's a really good point, because when the thing is being used, when it's
it's retracted.
But believe me, when you see it, you'll know it.
But getting back, this is a complicated surgery to do it the other way. And if I can do an analogy, you have to make an incision at the base of the penis. You deglove the skin and you bring the skin forward like so.
As soon as you start saying deglove, I'm out. I will just leave it the way it is.
And then you have to back graft the place where you brought the skin forward. So it's sort of like pulling your turtleneck up.
That sounds like a very
it's really important to them, and they go through this.
Have a lot of complications.
Well, my advice would be, just
ultimately, when it comes to circumcision, it's personal preference, and that's what it comes down to.
And it may be
but what we
religious,
can
too.
say, the circumcision reversal that Dr. Orden's been talking about can cost upwards of $25,000 in the U.S.
Wow.
It does have a poor success rate, so certainly this is one you'd want to think twice, a third time, maybe a fourth and a fifth time.
Just remember that degloving.
Are you having fun yet, ladies? how far would you go for better sex? A study conducted at the University of Chicago recently revealed a surprising conclusion regarding men's enjoyment of sex: circumcision. The research questioned over 360 men who had received the snip, which I'm talking about circumcision here, not vasectomy. 67% said that sex got better after the circumcision. Interesting. I can't comment on this because I
clip before you're.
I don't remember.
But this
that
is
time.
interesting. Less parents, I guess, are choosing to circumcise, so more men are faced with that choice in adulthood to clip or not to clip.
And a lot of them are clipping.
And then saying, hey, it was better after I was circumcised. So,
which is interesting, only because one of the reasons why men will say they don't want to is because the foreskin can have sensory nerves on it.
Which makes it more sensitive.
You would think, but
I mean, can a woman tell the difference?
By looking at it, yeah. I mean, I don't understand the question. What is?
Well,
I think overall women prefer a little clipping.
I think appearance-wise, it's a little.
Yeah, and then we appreciate it because, you know, women who have intercourse with males who've been circumcised have a lower rate of cervical cancer because they don't carry HPV as frequently. So, yeah, we appreciate it.
I mean, that's the big issue.
Yeah, research does show circumcised men lower risk of transmitting HIV.
HPV.
Yeah, herpes.
Everything, all of the STDs.
It's a personal choice, and I actually do, I do understand why more parents are saying, look, I'm not going to subject my baby to this procedure, but I will say, I was circumcised as a baby. I don't remember it. I can say unequivocally, as a grown man right now, I would have a lot of trouble rolling in there saying, okay, oh, that blade, no problem. Go ahead. It is. No, I'm just saying it is that's a really big decision as an adult man because it's hard for me to even think about someone cutting down there.
Such
period.
Such an easy operation. Have your plastic surgeon do it. Designer circumcision.
I can't. I don't.
You know, in today's age, in these hands, anything is possible.
Look, this study, I don't think that a reason to go get circumcised is because you're going to have better sex. In this survey of 300 men, 67%, a little over half said, oh, it was a little better afterwards. If you're going to do it, educate yourself and know why you're doing it. But I don't know that I would do it for better sex. But again,
for hygiene, maybe.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Should men be trusted when it comes to their claims of how big they say their male member is?
I'll let you take this one. Okay, there you go.
You are right. It's a topic ripe for exaggeration. What about this? Last year, the news broke.
Oh, about that thing.
So, Drew, you remember talking about this maybe a year ago.
We touched on this.
A 54-year-old man from Mexico claimed to have a penis measuring 18.9 inches in length. Ruined his life, he said. He had to file for disability because his penis was just so long. You're seeing pictures of him holding it. We were a bit dubious. We saw the CT scan. We were concerned about it. Well, guess what? A doctor recently met with the controversial man and found that his penis is only about 6 inches in length. The actual length comes from his extremely long foreskin that reportedly, allegedly, he was able to extend the foreskin by placing weights on it.
Oh, yes. Over a long period of time, in an attempt to lengthen his penis. He put weights on there. What he did, he stretched his foreskin to the point where he had a 6-inch penis. So let's do the math. So
he had 12 some inches of skin.
Of foreskin.
Just hanging out.
And we made that diagnosis looking at that scan. We said, hey, That's not the penis. That is skin. You can see the.
It is not. It is not healthy tissue either. As you look towards the end of that's just.
And what
weak.
good does it do you? It's skin.
That's my point.
I have so many
to
questions.
have sex, you would need a shoehorn.
I have
to get.
I just hope he's blow drying it after sex.
I have so many questions. Like, first of all, why do guys lie? Why can you guys stop lying about, like, in general? Why do guys lie? It's fine. It's fine if it's not, you know.
Well, the biggest issue with the whole lying is it's not as though your partner isn't going to find out.
My thing, and
there's nothing worse than it's 19 inches, and then. And then your partner's like, well, no, it's 6. So why would you'd be better off saying it's.
And it's not the wand, it's the magic. That's what I heard.
The motion of the ocean?
It's the motion of the ocean. But hypothetically speaking, most people, hypothetically speaking, if this were true, then say a woman was curious. Most women would say, get that thing away from my pelvis, right? But let's say somebody wanted to say, okay, let me try it out. Can you imagine, like, the letdown? How disappointing would that be if you got there and you found out?
It's like a limp,
true story. In medical school, one of my classmates walked around and self-promoted the title half-inch. So, and anytime, anywhere, he'd call himself half-inch. I don't think he was, but I think his whole game was, if you promote it as being a half-inch, then it's going to be a pleasant surprise. Like, wow, it's 3 inches longer than you said. Wow,
that's
great.
That's probably what it was, and maybe he had intercourse with someone, and he knew that, so he was trying to, make light of it.
It's better than saying I'm 19 inches, and then. It's just skin.
Well, this
but this can cause a lot of problems for someone, stretching your foreskin or trying to stretch your penis, period.
Weights. I mean, I gave up after 50 pounds. I gave it up. My personal best was 50, but no. But this created a legitimate battle with this guy in New York who claims he had the largest penis at 13.5, Mr. Jonah Falcon in New York City. He got all upset that this guy, but then when he found out that it was foreskin, he called him out on it. You're a hoax. It's not a penis. So
rightly so.
I'm still the champ.
Jonah knows. Hey, it's not easy to rock 13 and a half.
13, there's just no room for 13. I mean,
I don't know.
It's estimated that some 80% of males are circumcised, but we found a group of men that are trying to reverse their circumcisions by themselves at home. So Dr. Batra here has an example of an at-home kit, uses balloons to stretch the foreskin back to what it was like pre-circumcision. The creator of this kit said it took about a year to stretch his foreskin. And so joining us now via Skype to discuss this is urologist and the author of the penis book, Dr. Aaron Spitz. So Dr. Spitz, this DIY at home does not sound like a good idea to me. Are you having men request reversal of circumcisions? And if so, what about this DIY kit?
I like to call that kit hardware restoration. And honestly, no, there's not a big demand for restoring foreskins, but I do have a big demand of men coming in with normal, healthy foreskins who want circumcisions. Most of the guys who seek this are seeking this because they are concerned that they're having some sort of inferior sexual experience because they don't have their foreskin.
So are they telling you that the sensation is decreased because of that circumcision they had many years ago?
That's what they think in these very small groups of men who are seeking this. And scientific studies have actually been conducted that demonstrate that the sensation in men who are circumcised or uncircumcised is exactly the same. The sexual satisfaction is the same. The erections, the orgasm, it's all the same when scientifically studied.
I mean, there's another group that put weights on to stretch out their foreskin, right?
Yeah, literally yanking your chain, and really that's all it is.
So I think when I was looking into this topic, I was fascinated actually with some of the online forums that talk about how to do it yourself, and then I watched this really graphic video of how to use this device. So people are out there and they're using air pressure to stretch their skin. What are some of the risks for people out there looking at this?
Well, the risks of DIY medical treatments are typically the same regardless of what you're looking at. When you're trying to do some kind of home-based surgery, home-based technique, you might injure your skin and cause an opening for an infection. But you might stretch your skin in ways that are deformed when you're all done and regret it and can't go back, kind of like perhaps a piercing or a tattoo gone wrong. Furthermore, you may alter some of the sensation in those little delicate nerves in the skin from chronically traumatizing them. So it's really not a good idea to do this or any other kind of surgical procedure at home.
What's the scene like at the Batra household when your husband walks in and you're watching videos of some guy, like her husband's a urologist.
Correct.
Like, honey, what are you doing?
You know, so what's even more cringeworthy in my household is my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old walking up on me while I'm watching a video like this.
How do you explain that one to the kids?
Actually, the one video I watched for a device like this, it's actually very graphic because this part is inserted over the glands, and then this part wraps over the foreskin, and you use air pressure to pump it up, and you actually watch the skin expanding like a balloon.
In my opinion, any part of your body stretching the skin and you're not under medical supervision is a bad idea. Really quickly, before we go, Dr. Spitz, I am curious because a lot of men are worried, well, am I having the best sensation possible? When does a man need to worry about that?
The most important sex organ is really right between your ears. And so if men can get out of their heads and relax and enjoy their experience and not be so focused on whether they're circumcised or not circumcised, understanding that real science has already answered that question, there's no difference, they can get on with a much happier, healthier sex life.
Well, and having you the voice of reason, quickly, on that note, I mean, there's talk now of enhancement procedures with injections, fillers, putting heat on your penis similar to the face to enhance collagen elastin. Please address that.
The vast majority of men are normal. Yes, the vast majority of men are normal in size, but many of them don't think they are. The vast majority of men, almost all men who come in for some kind of a procedure to make the penis bigger are actually normal. They just don't realize it. A lot of it is because of the pornography and how ubiquitous it is, and those guys are superstars. They're not normal. So in most cases, it's not necessarily just a matter of re-education.
Well, I feel like you should write a book called The Penis Book.
Yeah, maybe
oh, wait,
bring that with people.
Cheers, Dr. Spitz.